While this video is probably going to be titled the 2023 quarterback recruiting class has been an absolute disaster, this video is more focused on giving players and fans the cautious tales of what NIL and the transfer portal have brought to the game. I just need to name this video that title due to how the YouTube algorithm works, to be completely honest. 7 of the top 8 quarterbacks from the 2023 recruiting class, 7, have transferred from the schools they started at to go to a different school. The one quarterback that has stayed with his original school has been someone the media has been pushing to transfer since he committed to said school. The transfer portal has become a disaster due to the national media wanting to glorify headlines and clicks, and because the NCAA can't enforce their rules due to wanting to keep their nonprofit status. This is the story of the heartbreaking 2023 quarterback recruiting class, a class that is only from 2 cycles ago. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know who your favorite recruit was from the 2023 class in the comment section below. The first player I want to talk about from the class is Austin Mack, who came out of Folsom High School. Mack was the 8th rated quarterback in the 2023 recruiting class according to 24/7 Sports, but according to their composite rating, he was the 16th best quarterback in the class. Mack was originally supposed to be a part of the 2024 recruiting class, but after throwing for 3,498 yards and 40 touchdowns, and being named the Sacramento Bee's Large School Player of the Year, he would decide to reclassify to the 2023 recruiting class, graduating high school a year early. According to 24/7 Sports, back in February of 2023, there was some speculating he might decide to reclassify when he originally committed to Washington. Mack spoke on the decision, saying, "The decision was really the opportunity it presented. My family and I have had many conversations with the staff, which was nothing but good. At the time, the Huskies were in a tough spot as they had not signed a quarterback in the 2022 recruiting class and lost 2023 commit Lincoln Kienholz, which risked them being without a quarterback commit for back-to-back classes. Toss in the fact that Sam Heward decided to transfer out, they were down to 2 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster. He was going to enroll in classes in the fall, planning to graduate from high school that spring, before he was even turning 17 years old. He was coming off his first time starting at Folsom High School his junior year, led them to the CIF San Joaquin Sectional D1 Championship in California with a 12-2 record. During his true freshman season, Mack did not see any playing time, but he showed off enough of his high-end quarterback talent in practice. When Kalen DeBoer decided to leave Washington to replace the great Nick Saban at Alabama, Mack waited to see who would be the school's next head coach, hoping it would be offense coordinator Ryan Grubb. After it became apparent that Grubb would not be named the school's next head coach, Mack decided to enter the transfer portal as a 4-star transfer recruit and the 9th best quarterback in the 2024 transfer class. He would choose to follow his former head coach to Alabama. Last year, Alabama was led by quarterback Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson serving as his primary backup. Heading into the 2025 season, Simpson seems to be the frontrunner for the starting job, with DeBoer explaining, "Ty has been around and just has done a nice job. I think the trend upward is a big piece of it. Ty is an accurate thrower. There's always going to be a ball that every guy wants back. But I think the ability to learn from your mistakes, learn from other people's mistakes, be able to comprehend, not be overwhelmed, I think he's just had more time." The quarterback competition is still ongoing, but Grubb also named Simpson the frontrunner as well. Mack will be competing with highly touted true freshman Keelan Russell for the backup job as things stand. Mack threw 2 interceptions during A-Day open practice, while Russell threw 1 and Simpson did not throw any. With the way things are looking, I would not be surprised to see Mack enter the transfer portal following the season if Russell is as good as advertised and Simpson wins the starting quarterback job this season. Aiden Childs was the 7th best quarterback in the class of 2023 according to 24/7 Sports, and the 13th best quarterback according to the composite ratings. Childs played at Downey High School, where he would see some playing time during the shortened spring high school season in 2021. His junior year would be where he would take another step forward, throwing for 1,301 yards, 10 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, while also rushing for 344 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. His senior year would be his breakout season as he would throw for 3,350 yards and 38 touchdowns with 5 interceptions, led Downey to the CIF Southern Sectional Championship with a 12-3 record. Childs would choose to commit to Oregon State, explaining Oregon State felt like home. Everyone felt close and made me feel like the culture is truly there. I'm looking forward to making new brothers in a new environment. During his true freshman season at Oregon State, Childs competed with DJ Uiagalelei and Ben Gulbertson for the starting quarterback job, being named DJ's backup. He would play in 9 games, throwing for 309 yards and 4 touchdowns, while also rushing for 79 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. When everything was seemingly falling apart for the Beavers with the Pac-12 falling apart, Childs seemed like the lone bright spot, along with head coach Jonathan Smith. When Smith decided to take the Michigan State head coaching job, Childs would join him, being rated the number 2 quarterback in the 2024 transfer class with a 4-star rating. He told ESPN, "I talked to Coach Smith, and at the end of the day, I told him I came to play for you. Wherever you go, that's where I want to be. He talked to me as a person, not as a player. I like having a conversation with a coach who cares for my well-being." Smith would call Childs into his office his freshman year just to check in on how life was going and how school was going. He would be Michigan State's starting quarterback last year, throwing for 2,415 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, while also rushing for 225 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground as the Spartans struggled, going 5-7. He also lost 4 fumbles to finish with 15 turnovers, which was tied for the most in the Big Ten last year. They ranked 123rd nationally out of 133 teams in scoring, 110th in both rushing and total offense, and 115th in red zone. They also struggled in the run game with a mediocre offensive line last year. They will hope to do more this season. Before the whole Nico debacle at Tennessee, for a long time Jaden Rashada was viewed in the worst light by the public with the way his career's gone so far. Rashada played high school football at Liberty High School, IMG Academy, and Pittsburgh High School, became the first ever high school football player to sign an endorsement deal with a recruitment app in 2021. As a junior, he threw for 2,220 yards and 27 touchdowns, while as a senior he threw for 3,055 yards and 32 touchdowns. According to 24/7 Sports, he was a 4-star recruit who was the 6th best quarterback in the class, while the composite rating had him ranked as the 7th best quarterback. His recruitment would be messy to say the least. He would originally commit to Miami after securing a $9.5 million NIL deal. Following that, he struggled at the Elite 11 camp, with George Whitfield telling The Athletic back in 2023, "The kids openly talked about his money around him on the field, and Rashad is standing there. They're asking him, how does it work? Do you get it all at once?" And you could tell how uncomfortable he was. It was so awkward, and it only got worse. Balls were going into the dirt. 4 months later, he would flip his commitment to Florida after signing a nearly $14 million NIL deal over 4 years with the contract. Coming through the Gators Collective, a booster group that isn't affiliated with Florida's athletic department. Then in mid-January, Rashada did not enroll at Florida as expected. The Gators Collective had reneged on its deal in early December, 2 days after initial payments were due. And on January 17th, the quarterback was granted a release from his letter of intent. He would ultimately sign with Arizona State, where his father had played in the mid-1990s. Playing for then first-year head coach Kenny Dillingham, Rashada would win the starting quarterback job, playing in 3 games, throwing for 485 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions before suffering a knee injury. He would miss spring practice the following year after a thumb surgery and would decide to enter the transfer portal, where he was a 3-star prospect and the 17th best quarterback in the transfer class. He would spend last year with Georgia and would sue Florida and Billy Napier over the NIL deal. The court case is ongoing, and a judge dismissed the idea of throwing the case out. In January, he would enter the transfer portal again and has been in contact with Western Kentucky, UConn, and Tulane. Rashada got caught in the crossfire of the ugly side of NIL, is why the NCAA needs to put up guardrails if they truly care about their athletes. From everything I have read, he is not a stuck-up superstar. The media has turned him into being viewed, and I hope he gets his career back on track at his next school. Malachi Nelson was once viewed as the heir apparent to Heisman Trophy winner and 2025 NFL top pick Caleb Williams. Nelson played high school football at Los Alamitos High School in California and took over the starting role as a sophomore. As a junior, he threw for 2,690 yards, 39 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, being named the 2021 Gatorade California Player of the Year, while as a senior, he threw for 2,891 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions, repeating as the Gatorade California Player of the Year. According to 24/7 Sports, Nelson was a 5-star recruit who was the 5th best quarterback in the country and was rated the #1 player in the class according to ESPN. He'd originally commit to Oklahoma over the likes of Alabama, Florida State, LSU, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and USC. When Oklahoma head coach Lincoln Riley left to become the head coach at USC, he would flip his commitment to the Trojans. He appeared in one game as a freshman using a red shirt, with Caleb Williams being the starter that year, but shocked many when he entered the transfer portal with 4 years of eligibility left. He would then commit to Boise State, losing the starting quarterback battle to Maddox Madsen, and only appeared in 3 games as the Broncos went on to play in the college football playoffs. Following the season, he once again entered the transfer portal, being rated a 3-star recruit and the 36th best quarterback in the transfer class. This time, he committed to UTEP. UTEP went all in on recruiting Nelson to El Paso with the advice of Lane Frank, the host of the Schoolyard Sports podcast, who was brought on to the NIL advisory board at UTEP. Frank explained, "This past August, I made a segment on my show, Schoolyard Sports, where I said that Malachi Nelson was the hidden gem of the college football. He didn't win the Boise State job and hopped back into the portal again. I was thinking that he would probably go to the group of 5 schools. This is a guy who is very interesting, and I don't think that UTEP had Malachi Nelson on their radar at all. Then I made a few calls and texts, and I say, let's go get this guy. Ended up talking to Scotty Walden about it, and at that point, the tires started kicking. UTEP really went after this guy heavy. I was so happy to hear about that. He took his official visit and loved El Paso. Malachi Nelson may have had bigger offers on the table, but he wanted to come here and play for the UTEP football team. I think that's a testament to El Paso, the Sun Bowl, Scotty Walden, and his staff, who have done such a great job in 1 year." Jackson Arnold was supposed to be the next great Oklahoma quarterback, but instead struggled during his lone year as a starting quarterback. Arnold is originally from Denton, Texas, and played at Geyer High School. When starter Eli Stowers got hurt in the 2019 Texas 6A Division II state championship game, Arnold would be thrown into action and served as the 4-star quarterback's backup in 2020. When he finally became the starter as a junior, Jackson would throw for 3,921 yards, 34 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, while also rushing for 659 yards and 12 touchdowns on the ground, being named Texas District 5-6A co-MVP. They made it back to the state championship game as well. As a senior, Arnold threw for 3,476 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, while also rushing for 921 yards and 24 touchdowns on the ground. He was rated as a 5-star top 10 recruit in the 2023 recruiting class for both 24/7 Sports ratings and the composite ratings, and would start his collegiate career at Oklahoma, choosing them over Alabama and Arkansas. Arnold would be named Dylan Gabriel's backup as a true freshman in his debut against Arkansas State, completed all 11 of his passes for 114 yards and a touchdown. When Gabriel left for Oregon, Arnold would be named the starting quarterback for the Sooners bowl game against Arizona. He finished his freshman year throwing for 563 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, while also rushing for a score. He would enter last season as the Sooners starting quarterback before being benched 4 games into the season in favor of freshman Michael Hawkins Jr. He would finish his sophomore campaign throwing for 1,421 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, while also rushing for 444 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground, going 5-4 as the starting quarterback. Arnold would go on from being viewed as the next great quarterback to being viewed as someone who would not live up to this crazy expectation that many had for him, and he would transfer to Auburn this past winter. He told rivals, play the first 3 games, we're 3-0, then go to Tennessee, have a bad first half, and get benched. I feel like for me it was a wake-up call from God, just to kind of take a step back and root my identity in something other than the game. And really just go through that and how to persevere through hard times, because to be quite honest, it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever gone through my entire life. And just really being strong, being able to persevere, it's something that I feel like I learned a lot from last year. He was rated as a 4-star recruit and the 12th best quarterback in the transfer portal, and we'll hope a change of scenery will lead to him finding a lot of success this year. Dante Moore has had an interesting collegiate career so far after being rated the 3rd best quarterback in the 2023 recruiting class and the 4th best player in the class overall. Moore played high school football at Martin Luther King High School in Detroit, Michigan, where he would become the starting quarterback as a freshman and led his team to the state title game. He would lead them to the state championship as a junior and senior and was named the 2021 Mr. Football for Michigan. He put together a 40-11 record as a starting quarterback, throwing for 9,880 yards, 135 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. Throughout his career, though, 11 of those came his freshman year. He would originally commit to Oregon before flipping his commitment to UCLA late in the process, becoming the highest-rated quarterback to ever commit to the Bruins. He would take over the starting quarterback job in the second week of the season, throwing for 290 yards and 3 touchdowns in 3 quarters, tying a UCLA freshman record for touchdowns in a game. He had finished the year starting 5 games, going 3-2, throwing for 1,610 yards, 11 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, and after feeling like he couldn't develop properly at UCLA, Moore decided to enter the transfer portal after dealing with multiple injuries throughout the season after playing behind an atrocious offensive line. Some thought he might end up at Michigan State, but instead he would transfer to Oregon, the school he originally committed to. He was rated a 4-star transfer and the 3rd best quarterback in the transfer class at the time. Last season he played in 3 games, completing all 7 of his passes for 49 yards. This offseason, Moore took his training to the next level, getting stronger, faster, and leaner while also spending a lot of time studying film. He is competing with Austin Novosad for the starting quarterback spot, but appears to be the favorite as spring practice comes to an end. Now we get to the guy who sparked this video idea for me, with that being former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. Nico is a 5-star recruit coming out of Warren High School in Downey, California, throwing for 5,234 yards, 75 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, while also rushing for 574 yards and 10 touchdowns on the ground throughout his high school career. He was also a top-rated volleyball recruit as well. He was named the Polynesian High School Football Player of the Year as a senior and signed a record-breaking NIL deal with Tennessee when he came out of high school, which was worth about $8 million. Nico sat behind Joe Milton during the 2023 season before being named the starting quarterback of the Citrus Bowl, where he threw for 151 yards and accounted for 4 touchdowns in the Vols' 35-0 bludgeoning of Iowa. He started off the 2024 season strong and looked like a possible Heisman candidate against lesser opponents, but began to struggle in SEC play. He led Tennessee to a 10-2 regular season record and a spot in the college football playoffs, but they would lose to Ohio State, and he finished the season throwing for 2,616 yards, 19 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, while also rushing for 3 touchdowns on the ground. Things were looking great on the surface for him in Tennessee up until last week, when he would sit out of practice wanting to renegotiate his NIL deal with Tennessee to earn more than $4 million a year. Tennessee took a stand and basically told him he was out of his mind, and they would quickly move on from him. Supposedly, Dan Lanning would leak information to Josh Heupel that Nico and his family were going behind Tennessee's back to find a better NIL deal. Then things got even worse for Nico, as Josh Pate confirmed on his show that Nico, along with others, threatened to sit out of their playoff games if they were not given more money. Pate went on to explain, this stuff was happening last December during the playoffs, with Nico included, but not just him. They were trying to get more money from Tennessee and other playoff teams before the playoffs. They were trying to leverage playoff participation. The explainer was, our client is being paid X amount of money to participate in 12 games, and maybe a 13th game if you make the conference championship game. But you guys made the playoffs. You should make more money. This is the kind of BS that's happening behind the scenes right now. Tennessee renegotiated Nico's deal when he threatened to leave during the winter transfer portal window, raising his NIL deal from $2 million a year to $2.4 million a year. When his family tried to leverage the spring window, the coaches and players on Tennessee's roster were fed up. With all the baggage surrounding Nico, teams like North Carolina and Tulane backed out of his recruitment, especially with the knowledge his camp tried to leverage a playoff game for more money. Nico would ultimately commit to UCLA for just over $1 million in NIL money, far from the $4 million they were expecting. His camp has come out and said that they were worried about Tennessee's offense and their offensive line. As The Athletic's Antonio Morales said, well, Iamaleava might be in for quite a wake-up call at UCLA. The Bruins' offense was a complete disaster last season. UCLA ranked 95th out of 134 football subdivision teams in yards per play and 126th in scoring. The Bruins averaged 3.1 yards per rush and allowed 34 sacks, which was 107th in the nation. They lost multiple coaches on the staff like offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy and offensive line coach Juan Castillo, and a ton of skill players transferred out. Iamaleava, while talented, was far from elite last year, totaling 8 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions in 8 games against bowl teams. I hope the mismanagement of this whole situation by Nico's camp does not come to bite them in the ass. Editor's note, supposedly the Nico deal with UCLA is just an offer and not officially done, although that's what Colin Cowherd said, and what others are reporting according to Locked On College Football. To clarify, Locked On College Football is the one who's saying it's not official, while Colin Cowherd said it was a done deal. Who would have thought the top quarterback in the class, Arch Manning, would have been the only guy in the top 8 quarterbacks, according to 24/7 Sports, to still be with the team he committed to? I actually could have told you that, as from everything I have researched about Manning, him and his camp have tried to stay out of the headline and have tried to go about the process the right way. Manning stayed off of social media as a recruit, even though he was the top quarterback in the class, and went through the whole process before choosing his school he committed to out of high school. Through his high school career at Isidore Newman High School, he threw for 8,577 yards, 115 touchdowns, and 19 interceptions, while also rushing for 823 yards and 20 touchdowns on the ground. He would choose to sign with Texas, where he would sit behind Quinn Ewers the past 2 years, though he would get playing time when Ewers went down with an injury. Last year, he threw for 939 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, while also rushing for 108 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. Since Manning arrived in Austin, the media has tried to push the narrative that he was going to transfer and almost made up narratives for those looking for glorified headlines, yet the only news stories to come out around Arch would be that he lost his student ID card or he was impressing in practice. Manning, when asked about waiting for his time, told CBS, "I mean, it's tough in this age, but I hope it pays off. Like I said, there's nowhere else I want to be. I want to be at Texas. I got friends here. Love this place. So I want to be the quarterback at the University of Texas. Sometimes it's worth the wait." It is so sad to see that 7 of the top 8 recruits from the class 2 cycles ago have left the schools they started their college careers at, but it shows us the time we are living in. While the NCAA has to shoulder a lot of the blame for putting themselves in a place where it is really hard to enforce their rules or even put rules into place, the media has a lot of the blame to shoulder as well. The headlines from the idea of players transferring and the viewership on those articles and videos paint a picture that the grass is greener on the other side, when that is not the case. I also think players need to be more careful with who they surround themselves with when it comes to their agents and their camps, because they may not always be looking out for what's best for you, but what is best in the short term for them. There's so much pressure on athletes to perform right away or secure the most money as fast as possible. I don't blame them for wanting to change the future of their lives and their families' lives, but just make sure you are carefully thinking through those decisions and making sure that they are truly the best decisions for you in the long run. What do you think? Which player on this list is the most shocking? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.